How does that look?
I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang. Now, that's a great picture behind you. I love the bitter end. We used to go back in the 80s, early 90s, but you're going to tell me somehow that that's your hairline and you were somehow playing at the bitter end last night.
Look,
Tell me that.
I'm not gonna comment on my hairline, but that's at least my forehead. And I had a gig last night at the bitter end. That is a iconic room. I mean, you got Dylan, you got Lou Reed, you've got some formative folks that have put in some time there. So an honor to have been on the stage last night. It was a good time, man.
You were behind the drum kit at the bitter end. What did you guys now? I know as a band you have to have conversations like, look, we're at the bitter end tonight. What should we lead?
We've got to bring it.
What song did you lead with?
So actually, this is an outfit. Sometimes bands refer to themselves as we're an outfit where actually I'm front man. So I come out from behind the kid actually, and we've got these two young kids in our band. I call them the puppies because we're like that aging veteran team. We're like a dad band, but we've got these two kids that are full of energy, and it's like, we've called up a couple rookies late in the season to take us home. So I'm able to lead sing, another kid's behind the skins. We're doing some chili peppers. We broke out some smashing pumpkins. We threw down some Wilco. I mean, we're a little bit all over. Some Joe Jackson, who I know you're a big fan of. It was a good night. Good night.
There's basically Joe Jackson has two songs, Sunday Papers, and Is She Going Out with Him?
Stop.
I mean, come on.
That's
that's true. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're showing your ignorance here, man, and I don't want to go there. Like Joe Jackson had three albums in the late '70s that might have been three of the best new wave albums of all time, and so we tore it up last night. It was a good time. I don't know, where were you, man? Thanks, appreciate the love.
I was home. I was on my couch. I was watching the New England Patriots, once again on top of the AFC. New England Patriots in a windy, I wouldn't say snow-filled but there were flurries. Orchard Park, and they dominated the Bills of Buffalo last night. So the Patriots are back on top, Tim.
Well, and the Bills are never presumed to win anything. Sorry, and I that's a fun team, and I want a lot for our brothers up in Western New York, but
sure.
It's hard to believe that the Pats have retooled. When I sit here in New York, and we've got two of the worst football teams that have seemingly been bad for a decade. Belichick brings a new shiny penny out of Alabama, who was like the sixth quarterback drafted in that draft. It's not like everybody wanted this kid. Drops him into a system, and here are the Pats back on top again. And it's extraordinary how in sports there are these franchises, and I hate to say it, and they're not New York franchises. And commercial break fans love the fact that we're New Yorkers who are looking at teams. We haven't won anything anytime recently, but I mean the Braves are always on top in hockey. I mean, look, how is Tampa Bay always on top with a salary cap structure? So good for the Pats. I hate to say it. Good for Belichick. I hate to say it. All right, so let's get back to
I know you want to get back in the stock market. I got one more question for you. You're also a songwriter. I know that you've dallied in that. So, I'm not a huge U2 fan, but off of Rattle and Hum, there's a song called Angel of Harlem. There's a reason why I'm mentioning this. I happen to like the song, but they mentioned Birdland on 53. Now, Birdland, of course, another iconic venue. Problem is, Birdland was never on 53. It was on 52nd Street. And now I think it's on 44th Street. Have you ever, embellished the lyrics so that line rhymes? Because that's clearly what Bono and The Edge did there.
Well, again, the dad band last night at the bitter end. I didn't take enough Prevagen before, and I was starting to make lyrics up. I mean, there's a couple of those Chili Pepper songs where I was just like, hello, and I was just, you just do what you got to do. So look. You improv and you do what you have to do to when you're out there and you're in the public eye, and so this is what companies are doing. And there's companies that we thought maybe their best days were behind them. They've recrafted, they've rebuilt. Look, in the retail sector, it's pretty extraordinary if you think about some of these companies that were left for dead, and I mean. Obviously, I mean Macy's. I mean, to some extent, think about L Brands and the specialty retail. They come back, they actually spin off. So I think in the retail space, you've got companies that are back on top, and that makes sense to me because of the way fashions change, but also e-commerce, DTC, companies are able to kind of recraft on the fly. So that's, there's an example.
So here's one for you. There was a great company, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I mean, to a large extent, AMD only existed so Intel wouldn't be a monopoly. But
yep.
the tides have turned, and now Intel is sort of, they're the bottom dwellers. They're the New York Football Giants, the Detroit Lions. I'll even throw
wow.
you. I mean,
wow,
even throw you an Atlanta
Intel
Falcons at your way.
So that's interesting, and you're going in an area that arguably the world of not only innovation but really even commoditized dynamics is in technology, and it's in the semiconductor space. And I'll raise you a Qualcomm who now with their new line of chips is into AI and VR and are really thought to be competing with NVIDIA for the metaverse. And so it's pretty extraordinary when you think about it. And again, Qualcomm, they were arguably the first smartphone chip. They were the company that really, with their partnership with Apple, it elevated them well above a lot of those players. In fact, it was really Intel and Qualcomm. So I'm going to take your AMD. I'm going to Qualcomm you. How about in the fast food space? Because again, there's such big brands, whether it's Mickey D's, that was people thought of. Mickey D's was lampooned for just how unhealthy their food was, and yet they go out there and they're going, look, yeah, grass-fed beef guy. You're going to go in there and get yourself something organic. You're going to order it off a kiosk. You're going to actually maybe even have it delivered on your DoorDash or whatever. I mean, McDonald's is, they've recrafted too, man. They're absolutely back on top when in fact they were everything that was wrong with fast food in this country for a long time. Real quick on the way out here, who do you think is the company that has stayed relevant, recrafted themselves, and now again sits back on top?
I think that's a really great question. I would answer it with one word: Microsoft. That's a company that was obviously relevant, maybe lost their way for a period of time, and is back on top.
Good. Well, we're back on Reach TV every night at 6 p.m. I'm Tim Seymour, your guy Adami, and of course we are called
Commercial Break.